Why do so many people desperately seek peace but are unable to maintain it? How many times have you tried to resolve your worries, only to see them come back with full force? Perhaps what you lack is not willpower, but a focus on something greater. Many believe that peace is just a matter of circumstances, but what if true peace did not depend on what is around us, but rather on a deep and unshakable trust in God? This peace that surpasses any human logic is not easy to achieve. But when we understand the path, it transforms everything around us. In this video, you will discover how to maintain this peace in all areas of your life, facing any challenge with unshakable faith. Are you ready to finally find the peace you are looking for? Let's go together. There is something curious about the peace that comes from God. It disarms not only the world around you, but also the enemy himself. This is deeply disturbing. Do you know that moment when everything seems to be falling apart around you, but deep inside, there's a peace that you cannot explain? Because it is precisely this calm, this silent serenity that makes the adversary agitated. It is as if, when he sees you at peace, he feels challenged, trying at all costs to make you lose confidence. And with each smile of yours, it is as if he loses another battle. Imagine a person who, when faced with criticism and problems, reacts with a calm look, with firm faith. Those who observe him do not understand. Some are even bothered by this tranquility. This is because the peace that God gives us is not something ordinary. It is, in fact, an invisible fortress. It is like a shield that repels anxiety, an armor that protects against doubts. And the enemy, upon realizing this, incessantly seeks ways to steal this peace. But those who receive it with faith, who trust in what comes from God, have a strength that they cannot understand or control. And perhaps that is why you have noticed people who are bothered by your joy. Sometimes, the very environment around you seems to prod you to react negatively. Their looks mean comments and small provocations. But even without realizing it, these moments reveal how much the peace that lives within you bothers you. And then, instead of reacting as expected, you choose a different path. You maintain trust. This, in addition to strengthening your faith, also generates something more. Keeping your focus on God amidst so many distractions and challenges is like holding on to an anchor in a stormy sea. When the world around you tries to take away your peace, diverting your thoughts to problems and doubts, focusing on God brings powerful stability. It is this conscious decision to turn your gaze to Him that allows us to feel peace, even in storms. And if anyone wonders how to do this, one practice is simple. Instead of focusing on the problem, start the day by thanking God and declaring your trust in Him, thus reinforcing the faith that moves mountains. And how can you maintain this peace in practical situations? Imagine yourself at work, surrounded by demands or even criticism. Your first reaction might be to get angry or retaliate. But focusing on God means remembering that He is the one who strengthens you and that everything happens for a purpose. Instead of worrying about what you cannot control, you choose to focus on what He can do through the situation. This changes everything. Instead of letting yourself be carried away by stress, you strengthen yourself with the certainty that God is in control, and thus, peace is renewed. Even though it may be challenging, this constant focus on God serves as training for the heart and mind. With each difficulty overcome with this faith, you become more resilient and less vulnerable to external disturbances. Little by little, this becomes natural. You choose to cling to Him, whether in moments of joy or adversity. And when this peace solidifies, it transforms everything around you, generating a confidence so firm that little by little, it brings others too. Peace is an achievement, and threats to it often come from where we least expect it. Internally, thoughts of doubt, insecurity, and fear can spring up without warning, while externally, pressures and people who seem to bring challenges appear. In this environment, peace needs to be cultivated like a garden, which requires constant care to grow healthily. In moments of worry, it is worth stopping and reflecting. Does this really deserve my peace? This question helps to reorganize thoughts and maintain focus on what really matters. And there are also those external influences which we cannot always avoid. People who, without realizing it, end up being sources of disturbance, whether through attitudes, criticisms, or behaviors that try to destabilize. When these challenges arise, it is important to remember that control lies with God and not with others. Instead of trying to change others, wisdom lies in changing one's own reaction. In an argument, for example, choosing to respond with patience and serenity is an act of strength, as it shows that inner peace is stronger than any external attack. In many cases, internal and external forces collide, creating a real emotional whirlwind. But it is in these moments that trust in God becomes even more essential, being the point of balance. Having a moment of prayer, even if short, can help to break the cycle of anxiety and restore inner peace. And by recognizing these influences, the person becomes stronger, prepared, and above all, realizes that this peace can only be maintained when anchored in faith and in. Prayer is more than just a simple practice. It is a refuge. When praying, a person draws closer to God and finds a safe space where they can open up, become stronger, and seek relief. Imagine that prayer is like that trusted friend who knows how to listen and advise. It is the opportunity to hand over to him every burden, every anguish, and feel the lightness that only comes from a true connection. A moment of prayer may be short, but its impact on the heart is profound, bringing a peace that seems to drive away all problems. And the power of prayer goes beyond just asking for help. It is a source of renewal of faith. Each time a person prays, it reinforces the confidence that God is present, listening, and caring. There is strength in knowing that, no matter how difficult the challenge is, faith brings hope because God never abandons those who trust in Him. Constant prayer strengthens the spirit, preparing it to face daily battles with serenity. When a stressful situation arises, prayer helps to remind us that everything is in God's hands. The best of all is that this practice can be accessed anywhere and at any time. A simple prayer can transform your day. Before an important decision, when facing an argument, or when anxiety begins to weigh on you, the peace of prayer calms, renews, and reminds you that life is guided by God and that, amidst uncertainty, this source of peace never runs dry. Prayer is therefore a pillar in this trust. Trusting in God goes beyond words. It is a daily exercise of surrender and faith. This trust is born from the certainty that God has a plan, even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. It is like crossing a safe bridge in the middle of a storm. The winds may be strong, but the structure is firm because it was built with divine wisdom. When a person places their trust in God, they begin to see difficulties with different eyes, understanding that even challenges bring growth and learning, guided by a greater force. Trust in God also brings peace that surpasses understanding. It is that inexplicable serenity that arises in moments of greatest turbulence, when any other path could bring despair. Imagine someone who, even without seeing an immediate solution to their problems, feels calm because they know they are not alone. They know that God is taking care of them. This faith transforms the person into someone more resilient, less influenced by circumstances, and more focused on the promises and wisdom of God. To build this trust, a continuous exercise of surrender is necessary, especially in the small situations of everyday life. It could be when you're facing a difficult decision at work, dealing with health issues, or when life seems to take an unexpected turn. Each of these moments is a chance to strengthen your faith, to place everything in God's hands, and to remember that He is faithful and never fails. Trusting in God opens a new path, one of constant peace, that leads to the next step on your spiritual journey. Staying in communion with other brothers and sisters in faith is like strengthening a chain of protection and hope. God, in His wisdom, created us to live in unity, and this union with other people of faith can be a powerful source of support. Sharing moments of prayer and opening your heart to friends and family is a way to strengthen peace and combat the loneliness that often steals serenity. In times of difficulty, being surrounded by those who also trust in God brings encouragement and encourages us to move forward. Forgiveness, in turn, is an essential practice for peace. Holding grudges is like carrying stones inside your heart. The heavier they are, the harder it becomes to move forward. When a person releases forgiveness, it relieves their own soul and allows God to renew hope and confidence. It is an act of wisdom, because those who forgive gain more than those who are forgiven. Jesus taught us to forgive 70 times 7, and although it is not easy, this teaching is a key to opening the path to peace. And for those who seek to apply forgiveness, one tip is to start by praying for those who have caused you pain, even if it seems difficult. Praying for those who have hurt us helps to ease the pain and hand the situation over to God. This practice allows the heart to free itself and prepare itself to receive more divine peace, instead of remaining stuck in the past. Communion and forgiveness are, therefore, two pillars of a peaceful life, where gratitude also has its place. Gratitude is a transformative key, capable of changing the way we see the world and, consequently, our inner peace. When a person cultivates the habit of being thankful, even for small things, they begin to see life in a new light. Gratitude awakens the perception of daily blessings that often go unnoticed. From a simple sunrise to the smile of a loved one, everything takes on a deeper meaning. This practice strengthens faith, making the person feel God's constant care in every detail. Being thankful helps the mind and heart to move away from excessive worries and focus on what is positive and uplifting. Over time, this habit leads to a more solid peace, because those who are thankful value the present and develop confidence to face the future. It's like learning to see the glass half full, even when circumstances are not ideal. Instead of despairing over difficulties, a person who is grateful finds renewed strength in the confidence that God is in control and that there will always be reasons to celebrate. To make gratitude a daily practice, it is worth writing down at least 3 things for which you are grateful at the end of each day. This simple action helps you realize what God has done and strengthens your spirit for challenges. Gratitude not only brings peace, but opens your heart to receive even more divine goodness, inviting you to trust fully and move forward with hope and faith. Thus, life becomes a cycle of peace and gratitude, where God's presence is the central axis. Now that you know the way to maintain your peace by focusing on God, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Are you going to apply it in your daily life or let distractions distract you? Remember, practicing gratitude, trusting in God, and cultivating prayer are more than just habits. They are foundations that transform the way we face life. What if, instead of focusing on what you lack, you focus on what you already have? How about starting to put each of these teachings into practice today? If you are ready to live with more peace, leave a comment saying which tip was most impactful for you, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to continue receiving content that will help you strengthen your faith, trust, and hope. Let's build a lighter and wiser life together